minute. So, one more time with Felix Lunch. How the heck are you? I'm going to be Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, for the purposes of this video. Had my mug club day at Springfield Brewing Company, so I had waited a little bit before having anything else to drink tonight. It's been a minute, but thought I'd come back and have a couple cocktails with you. Bear with me while I try to fix something real fast, but it's not cooperating with me at the moment. So I decided to have, well, what I decided to do is do two cocktails with the same whiskey. Because I had my Springfield Brewing Company a mug day today, I thought I'd use a product from their sister company, Tiakida. This is their double barrel rye. This is their whiskey finished in stout barrels. This particular rye is at a small batch at 92 proof, it says. Doesn't give me the rye percentage. I wish it gave me the mash bill, but they do not. But nevertheless, it's a very nice rye, and I love this. So I've had the rum and the sherry barrel cask on this, but this is the first time that I've had the stout cask. There we go. We got that under control. Let me make sure everything else is working right as well. Well, I can't tell. Anyway, we're just going to assume it's all working. So what the heck are you? Like I said, I had my mug day today. So I got there about 3. Wife picked me up about 6:30. And then got home, had some dinner. I haven't had anything to drink since then. I need to kind of, let that beer settle. Decided to come back and have a couple cocktails with you. But mug club days are nice. But you can only drink so much, right? Well, I can anyway. I heard the record was I think it was 22 mugs or 22 22 fills. It's a 20-ounce mug. That's a lot of beer, man. My record is 5. Today I did 4. 'Cause that's a lot of beer, man. I did 4 in about 3.5 hours. That was all I could do, man. But since I knew I was going to be there a little bit, I did eat when I first got there because just in case wife got running late, I need to make sure I had a little something on my stomach. But anyway, nonetheless, okay, looks like everything is running like I wanted to, as far as I can tell. Anyway, so like I said, I did 2 cocktails with 1 whiskey. I use that double barrel rye to make both of these. In this case, I did a version of a maple old fashioned. As you know, I typically will serve my old fashioned a little different than most and serve it straight up. But I did have the big globe, so I decided I'd use it for this one. And what I have in here is about 2.5 ounces of the rye and about 3/4 ounce of some barrel aged maple syrup. If I can find it. No, I think I left it in the kitchen. By golly, I meant to bring it out here and I forgot. And then the black walnut bitters, which I typically use for a maple old fashioned. You can use whatever you want, anything you think fits that bill, right? One of the first recipe I saw of this used the black walnut, which is why I stay with that. I do like the black walnut bitters, but ginger bitters I think would work just fine. Cardamom, anything you think will work as far as that maple, Oh man. So I know some folks will also add a simple to the maple, but for me, the maple is sweet enough. I don't add another sugar or another maple, but I know some have. If you want to add a half ounce of sample to it to thin down the maple, that's up to you. But I don't do that. The maple syrup is sweet enough for me. That's as sweet as I ever need my drink to be. I don't need it any sweeter, man. That's enough, baby. That's enough. That's enough, man. There we go. I know that got in my way for some reason. There we go. Keeps wanting to pop out of me. So their McDaniel's Draft is out, which is their version of a dry stout. That beer is absolutely delicious. So I had one of those tonight. But then I also had another beer I tried tonight too, called their Hive Honey Lager, a 5.5% honey lager. Uh, so I had one of those. But then what I did later for my last beer was I did sort of a black and tan thing with that honey lager and the McDaniel's draft. The draft because I asked her, "You think it would work?" She said, "Well, I hadn't tried it, but we will." And she laid it perfectly, man. It made a perfect looking black and tan. Not technically a black and tan. I know there's always going to be those purists out there that say, "Tom, that's not a black and tan," but it kind of gave you that look, right? It did layer nice. So, but more important than that, the flavors work perfect. That very light, easy drinking honey lager really worked perfectly with their McDaniel's dry stout. It was nice beer. I don't like to kind of mix it up with different, So they have their Paul's Pale Ale, which would be closer to a traditional black and tan. But I really wanted to try it with that honey lager because I thought that would really balance nicely, and it certainly did. I had the music playing before I started the video. I paused it because I didn't want to get another red flag from the powers that be. I tend to get angry, man. I recently rediscovered Tito and Tarantula, House at Love Bill, but going back a little farther, I recently rediscovered the Cruzados, which morphed into Tito and Tarantula. I love the Cruzados. That was a great band. They didn't last long though. They only had two albums, and they sort of morphed into Tito and Tarantula, which didn't last long either. But nevertheless, doesn't make their material any less iconic, in my opinion. House I love Bill, I love that too. But then going back to Cruzados, Don't Throw Stones. Like I said, I recently rediscovered that too, and now I can't seem to get enough of it. But other than that, I play a song on my Spotify, and their algorithm turns it into other things. So because I've done that, I've recently came across some other bands. Let me see if I can pull them up here. Um, Quaker City Nighthawks being one of them that I really like as well. And they just popped up. And again, one of those algorithms. Oh, that's a good band. The Dead Daisies is another one I've been listening to a lot of. And then recently discovered CC Adcock, who also had some songs on the newest or reincarnation of the Roadhouse movie. But the Quaker City Nighthawks is what for you to check out. I'm really getting into that band lately. Quaker City Nighthawks, they do some stuff. Again, band that hasn't had anything new out in a few years. Um, I just was late discovering them, I guess. Another band I really like is the Iguanas, very kind of a similar sound to the Quaker City Nighthawks. Although with a little bit more of a Hispanic flair, probably closer to Tito and Tarantula and Cruzados. Actually, now they say that. I'll bring out the maple when I go back to get my second cocktail. I meant to bring that to show it to you, but I picked up this. I actually picked up two different bottles of damn. Excuse me. Anyway, two different bottles of bourbon barrel aged maple syrup. Both are excellent. I really can't pick a favorite because they're both slightly different, but they work. I mean, I had one of them on some pancakes this morning, but they also work great in a cocktail. Oh, goodness. Anyways, I digress. Sorry about that. Hope I didn't get any on you. Damn, that was brutal. Ran some good friends today, though. I ran into Christy and Matt. Christy is a well-known singer around town. Matt, her husband, is just a great guy. Yeah. Oh, mercy. And then my old buddy El Jefe or Jeff came out to see me. And then near the end, I was getting ready to leave, and then Scotty, also known as Black Jesus, came out to visit me as well. So it was nice to see some friends come out on my mug day. And I like seeing friends. I do. Don't get me wrong. But I don't typically. I usually let people where I'm going or when I'm going out. But I don't typically make plans to meet people because things fall through. And I don't mind going someplace by myself because I always run into other people that I know. And sometimes I just want to be alone. It kind of depends. I'm that rare blend of loner extrovert. I don't mind being around people, but I don't mind not. I don't mind being a loner in a large group of people either. That rare blend of loner extrovert. Kind of seems like an oxymoron, but it's really not. Oh, mercy. Oh, man, that is a nice cocktail. So I mostly serve this one on the rocks because I didn't have any ice. So to chill it, so I said, okay, I got the one cube. We're just gonna do that anyway. But it does work this way. I mean, typically an old fashioned is served with a square cube or some ice. In this case, I'm using the globe, but do whatever you got to do. I'm just one of those guys that prefer a straight up cocktail, which is why the Manhattan has always been my cocktail of choice. But I have grown to like the old fashioned if I do it my way. What I mean by that is I typically like mine a lot less sweet than most places. Most places will serve them out. Ugh. Might have some heartburn issues today because, like I said, I don't typically eat when I go out there, but because I knew I was going to be there a minimum of about 3.5 hours, I ordered my first beer and I'm going to go ahead and order something to eat just so, just in case wife was running late to pick me up. So typically when we go out, which isn't all that often, but we always, or well, most of the time, we'll split a meal. Which usually is a problem, but I like spicy and she doesn't. So there's some things I'll never entertain ordering. We can usually find something that sounds good to both of us. But because I was by myself, I ordered the buffalo chicken pizza because they just got a new wood fired pizza oven there at Springfield Brewing. And it just sounded good. But like I said, then Hefe met me right about the time my pizza came. So I shared some with him and said, eat some pizza. I'm not going to eat all of this, of course not. But I just needed something to eat because I didn't know when the wife was coming. And so him and I ate some pizza. And then near the end there, like I said, while I was working my last beer, then and Scotty came in. The reason he wasn't there earlier though was because they had the big uh, chili cook off here in town. I don't. do that sort of thing anymore. I just don't like the big festivals anymore. They don't really. I don't like, you know. I don't like being herded in with a lot of people. I don't like the fact that food is sitting out and people are breathing and sneezing all over it. It seems like there's always an outbreak of sickness about a week later after any of these festivals, right? Big chili cook-off. Everybody's sick next week. The Wingapalooza. That's what I felt. The Wingapalooza when they had that a few weeks back. It seemed like everybody was sick the following week, right? Yeah. No, you all don't have the flu. You got food poisoning, is what you got. Or a combination of you got sick because everyone was breathing all over your food, or you should have been sitting out for 4 or 5 hours without being temped. So I'm really paranoid about such things, which I didn't used to worry about in my youth, to be honest. Going back to the Little League Diamond Dips when I was just a kid, his stuff would be sitting there on those benches for hours, at 4 to 8 hours. Can you imagine eating 6-hour-old macaroni salad? But we did, and we liked it. And that's why everybody was sick the next day. Hell, in my junior high school, we had lockers outside facing the sun in California. I'd have a sack lunch with a tuna sandwich sitting in that locker with the sun beating on it for 5 hours before I got to lunch. Yeah, that's why we were sick all the time, people. We didn't understand food poisoning in the 70s. We had no idea. We were completely oblivious to food poisoning in the 70s. Food can't be out more than 4 hours. What are you talking about? Yeah, I shouldn't have ate that processed ham sandwich and American cheese that had been sitting in my locker for 6 hours with 100-degree temps beating on it. Can you imagine that locker? I mean, you open that sucker up. anyways, I digress. I'm gonna finish this up and go grab cocktail number two, and I'll go on a little more about some ptomaine poisoning. Anyways, lunch. Oh, didn't see it there. Trying to maneuver out here without spilling my drink or hitting the camera. Anyways, here's the maple syrup that I used in the last cocktail. In case you're curious, man, if you give a rat's ass at this point, it's a Sweetwater's Live the Sweet Life limited edition bourbon barrel aged maple syrup, pure Columbiana County, Ohio maple. Out of Alliance, Ohio. This is barrel number 9, bottled in 2024, which is when I bought it. The ingredients are 100% maple syrup. Refrigerate after opening, it says. But I bought a second bottle too. Let me see if I can show that one to you. I left it way over here, though. Bourbon barrel aged maple syrup from Selden Seam Farm, handcrafted in small batches. Now, this one from Seldom Seen Farm, great name, is from Montville, Ohio. So both are out of Ohio, which is where I bought both of them, but there we go. And like I said, both are great. They are slightly different, but I mean, it's more or less the same product. Different barrel. Although I assume this is 100% maple syrup like the other one, but doesn't specifically list ingredients. Ah. So for cocktail number two, like I said, I used the exact same liquor. I used the double barrel rye from Tiaki Da, sister company of Springfield Brewing Company. So go see what I'm doing here. So I told you about my mug and everything else. Anyway, so I have this. So I did 2.5 ounces of that with half ounce of, yeah, most will do. So 2 ounces, typically a Manhattan is 2 ounces of your liquor, 1 ounce of your a sweet vermouth. But I don't typically like mine that sweet, so I will do 2.5 ounces of liquor, half ounce of the sweet vermouth. And in this case, this is what I'm using here, just to show you. And to change things up a little bit, yeah. So a traditional Manhattan will call for your traditional aromatic bitters or Angostura bitters. In this case, I decided to use a ginger because I like the ginger bitters in the winter. It kind of adds just that little bit of spice note to the cocktail, kind of balances the sweetness. And sláinte using my hollow stem coupe there. Oh, that is a lot of deliciousness right there. That is good. Oh, mercy, Percy. Ah. So we had some serious. I guess most places did actually had some rough weather last week. So actually, our schools were out all of last week, but didn't start coming down terrible until I guess late Monday or early morning Tuesday, depending on how you want to keep track. So where I work is always closed Tuesdays, but we decided to go ahead and open Monday with the possibility of closing early if we needed. But because I decided, or they decided to go ahead and open, and Mondays is always my day, I had folks ask if I could open early, so I kind of took it upon myself to go ahead and open early. We don't typically open till 4, but I opened up just shortly after 3, and by 5 minutes to 4, I mean my bar was full, man. It wasn't even technically open yet, but I was full, and it just seemed like that's the way it was going to be. I think for many folks just wanted to get out before the weather hit, but I also sold in a staggering amount of to-go beer that day. So I think that was part of it too. People wanted to get out before they wouldn't be able to get out for 2 days because God forbid, right? I gotta be stuck 2 days. I'm getting out now. But if I got to be inside with my kids for 5 days, I need some alcohol, Tom. So anyway, yeah, it was. We had a lot of people in there. Again, I think some because they knew they might be stuck in for a couple of days, but I think for most it was to, come in and grab some to go beer because, like I said, I sold a lot of to go beer that day. We ended up going ahead and closing that Wednesday due to weather, and then I was back on Thursday. But they were still calling for some stuff, so I wasn't sure how busy I was going to be. But again, I had folks ask if I could open early, so I did, and I was rather busy for a Thursday and Friday. Kind of went the same. It died late in the evening. We stay open till 10 on Fridays, and everybody was done by 9. But I had folks in there pretty steady all day long up until it was all week. It got busy early, right? Because typically I've got a crowd that comes in when we open, a crowd comes near the end. But this time everybody just seemed to come in a little bit earlier than typical. So that was nice anyway. But yeah, when I got in there Friday, Well, let me walk it back. I was in there Monday. And I got in Monday and knew I was going to have to open early, so I canned as much beer as I could before everybody got there. And like I said, I sold a lot of to-go beer that day. I'm not typically on Wednesdays, but we decided to close Wednesday anyway. But I'm back on Thursday, so I know my cooler is empty. So I got in there a little bit early Thursday, even though I knew folks wanted to get in early, and I tried to fill that cooler up, but then it was gone. So when I came in Friday to open, my cooler was empty. So I just was just canning beer like a madman, trying to fill my beer cooler, and I did. I had it completely full and stocked up. But the same thing happened. I mean, people were just buying a lot to go beer on Friday as well. So by the end, I only had about 2 4 packs left in there, even though I had that thing stocked full. So we sold a lot of to go beer when the weather starts getting bad. But here's the thing: by the time Friday hit, Friday weather wasn't great, but they knew Saturday and Sunday was going to be warmer, but didn't stop them from getting out and buying to go beer. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the reasoning was, but nevertheless, other than the fact that everybody was stuck at home and drank more because they couldn't get to work, so they were out to go beer. So anyway, and I actually forgot that today was my mug day at Springfield Brewing Company. So Springfield Brewing Company, you get a mug, or you buy into the mug club, and they give you a mug, and it is numbered. My number is 53. So day 53 of the year is your mug club day. Every beer is $1. So I wish I had the ability to drink more than four, but I'm that's it for me, man. I wish I could have taken more advantage of the situation, but 80 ounces of beer is plenty, man. That's a lot of damn beer, man. Uh, but I did forget until I looked up my Facebook memories this morning. I said, "Holy shit, I got to go to Springfield Break," because my wife and I were talking last night about doing something different today. And then, so crap, I got to go there. Son of a bitch. Because I wanted to miss my mug club day, man. Anyway, so tomorrow, I am off tomorrow. I'll probably just try to relax, recover from my mug club day, then go back to work Monday, and the whole cycle starts over again. But we look like we're going to have a nice week in the Ozarks next week. It goes from serious cold to above average temperature. So things are kind of strange, but you've got those out there that still don't understand climate change. I don't like to use the phrase "don't believe in" because you can't. It exists. Climate change exists. So you either understand it or you don't. There's no believing or not believing. It is real and it exists. So you can either understand it or not. And so there are those that just don't understand climate change. But I mean, we wouldn't be going through these things, wouldn't be happening the way they are if it wasn't true. But what do scientists know? Uh, some of these folks would rather believe they're a astrologist or proctologist because either way, they're just, get the answers out their ass. See what I did there? Just getting the answers out their ass. That's why they're talking to the proctologist. That doesn't make sense, but I'm not going to get political tonight. No, I'm going to try not to. Um, I'm going to try not to, but sometimes it's hard, man. Uh, what's strange to me is that there used to be a clear separation between social issues and political issues. Um, and now there isn't, right? I mean, if I talk about a social issue, if I talk about climate change, it automatically becomes a political issue. It shouldn't be, but it is. If I talk about equal rights, I'm talking about a social issue, but it automatically becomes a political one. It shouldn't be, but it is. Doing the right thing shouldn't be political, but somehow it has become Folks that don't want to do the right thing or don't want to acknowledge other people's rights like to use terms like woke or social justice warrior, which is really bizarre to me. Calling somebody a social justice warrior as if it's somehow a derogatory remark. Saying you want to stand up for other people's rights is somehow a bad thing is just bizarre. But but it has become a battle cry for those who are or just little human beings who don't want equal rights for everybody. Oh, oh man, that's a nice cocktail. I do like a Manhattan. The Manhattan. I would say it's always been my favorite cocktail, but the truth is, I probably was in my 40s before I ever had one for the first time, because it's not something we drank back in the day. It's not something I knew of as a kid. I mean, I was 10 years old when I made my first highball, but hell, we didn't drink anything fancy as a Manhattan. Dad would have some friends over that would have a martini, but hell, I don't know. I was probably 40 before I even heard of a Manhattan, if you want to know the truth. Uh, well, we grew up very working class, so we didn't have Manhattan. I knew what a highball was. I've been to the American Legion, so I knew what a screwdriver, a Harvey Wallbanger, a tequila sunrise. I knew all the bottom shelf liquor drinks. A Long Island iced tea. I never heard of a Manhattan, man. We weren't that upwardly mobile. They didn't make a Manhattan in an American Legion. That much I can tell you. Anyways, well, not back in my day, anyway. But when I started drinking the Manhattan, it became my favorite drink, and a lot of it's because I do enjoy a straight up cocktail. I don't like a lot of ice in my drink, which is why I typically never really liked a highball either. I mean, I went from drinking my early 20s. I was all about bourbon and soda, club soda, and then I became just about bourbon rocks, and then it became bourbon neat. And then I started learning about some of these cocktails when I had a Manhattan. It's like, oh, I really like that. So then it became about finding the right Manhattan, right? Finding that right mix. The perfect Manhattan is, use an ounce of sweet vermouth and dry vermouth. And I've never liked that mix. If I'm having a Manhattan, I just want the sweet. But if you order a Manhattan out, you're always going to get a full ounce of sweet. And I like a little bit less. When I make them at home, I typically up my alcohol. I go to 2.5 ounces of alcohol, drop it down to a half ounce of sweet vermouth, and I usually change up the bitters. I do have your traditional Angostura here, but today I used a ginger. Sometimes I use cardamom. Sometimes I use orange, or I have some cherry. I also have some smoked orange. I like to kind of change it up a little bit depending on my mood. Sometimes it just depends on the weather, right? I felt today being a little chilly, the ginger would work well. Kind of give it that little bit of a spice, give it kind of a winter flair. Todd says, cheers. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Launching right back at you. I'm sorry I didn't notice that comment earlier. I didn't say it, man. Anyways, I digress. Let me wrap this up. I didn't mean to talk this long. It took me a little longer to drink two cocktails than typical. Ah, So, anyways, I digress. I am Tom, the whiskey whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker. Oh man, that's a nice cocktail. I like that color. Looking at that color, that is nice. That's pretty. That's a pretty drink, man. I don't care who you are. I am Tom, the whiskey, the whiskey whisperer, whiskey evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all around good guy, Sancho. Thanks for tuning in, guys.